Jay Finning here, and I want to tell you guys about 4 Wheel Online. For over a decade, 4 Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. They are dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any maker model on the road. Their truck products cover everything you need to give your truck a custom look and added functionality. And if you need a tire and wheel package, head over and use the configuration tool. They carry all the major brands of wheels and tires, so go get outfitters today. So visit them online at 4Wheel Online or call them at 813-769-2451. Again, that's 4Wheel Online, the number 4, Wheel Online. This is the Hard Parking Podcast, brought to you by Right Honda out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jay Finning. So you might notice the microphone sounds different. So I'm doing a thing. I'm a little self-conscious, and I think we're all a little self-conscious. So they say we all are our own biggest critics. And when I listen to the podcast, because of course I listen to my own podcast, because I use that as a way to get better, to pick up on the things that I'm saying, or I listen, I was like, oh, I shouldn't keep saying that. It's kind of like the people who always use the word like my wife is really bad with that. So she'll tell me a story, something from work, and will say, I talked to my boss and my boss is like this and he's like this and he's like, you need to work harder on closing your deals. And then he's like, and then I said, and then he's like. So when you listen to yourself on podcasting or whatever it is you do, even listening to yourself, if you produce content for YouTube, you have to go back and you have to watch your own videos because that's the only way you can correct and get better. And so when I listen to this podcast in the car, it comes across as too bassy. My voice is just too deep. And I know some of the listeners like John love the way the voice sounds. But for me, I listen to it and I'm like, man, of all the professional podcasts I listen to, even the people with the deepest of voices don't sound as deep. Like my speakers are rumbling when I talk, and I don't like that. Now, if you listen to the podcast on your desktop, like literally your iPhone, and you just listen to your speaker or your Android or through your computer, you don't notice those things. But if you, like for example, if you wear noise canceling headphones, you hear that. And if you're in the car, you hear that. And so Wes Tankersley, good friend of the show, co-host of One Drink Wednesday, kind of makes fun of me because I'm so anal on the production quality of the podcast. He said, only you would notice. I said, Wes, I can promise you not only I would notice. So for this episode and the next episode, I'm going to be using these settings on this microphone. And I think I like it more. But I need you to let me know what you think. HardParkingPodcast@gmail.com. Now, this is only on my end. The guests are still going to sound like the guests. If I have an in-studio guest, I will probably leave this microphone on this setting. So I have 2 microphones, and they were originally both on the setting that you're used to hearing me sound on all the rest of the episodes. This one I switched. So let me know what you think. Coming up in a little bit, I recently had a conversation with Jane D'Amelio. You guys heard her, gosh, I think it was last year. Philanthropist, does a lot of work with the David Wilson Automotive Group. Obviously, Right Honda. She connects me with a lot of people, and she's such a good person, and it's time for her to get back on because, we're running out of time. It's still September, but the McKinley-Clare Foundation that we talked about last year is, I think you have to the end of this month, so you only have a few days. By Friday, it'll be too late. So you only have till Friday to go into Right Honda or Right Toyota out here in Phoenix. They're both in Scottsdale. You can go to Claremont Toyota in California. You can go to Toyota of Huntington Beach and Toyota of Las Vegas. And all their dealerships do it. All the David Wilson, but those are the 5 that Jane is working with. You're going to hear a lot more about that coming up, as well as some big events before the end of the year. But getting back to being our own worst critics, I call it micromanaging. Like I like to micromanage myself, although I have no organizational skills. So obviously I'm a poor manager, I guess. But I recently bought a desktop calendar, and I bought it because I just can't stay organized with the podcast, with the YouTube channel, and working my job I don't know why. I mean, you have laptops, you have iPhones, you have all this other digital media. And I feel like I was more organized last year when I had a tangible calendar, my calendar of my car, up on the wall. And since that expired, I just felt that 2021, I just have not been able to get my shit together. We'll see what happens with that. Did a little teasing on social media. So I have a good friend, Yoshi. He's actually been on the podcast in season 1. In the background, he was making a bunch of noise when I was talking with Eric Pasha after Monterey Car Week a couple of years ago. But, Yoshi has a Ferrari F12 and he's recently listed it for sale. And so I went over to his house. I drove his Ferrari. He let me take it out. It's not like he wasn't with me. He was like, all right, here's the keys. Call me when you're back. Pretty cool. I mean, this thing's 740 horsepower, $250,000 car. I mean, I had to take the opportunity because I had mentioned in the video that's coming out that I don't know when I'm going to have an opportunity to do this again. And the reality is I have enough friends that have money where if I asked them to, they would probably let me drive their cars. I mean, Yoshi's offered his cars before in the past. He used to have a 458 back when he had an R8. And it's hard to drive other people's cars. I mean, I guess if you're a valet, you do it every day. But so when you drive the car, it's not like you can really get on it. Because in my opinion, I feel like you have to have a car for 2 or 3 days before you really get comfortable with it. And that's why I miss so much traveling. I miss my rental cars. And it doesn't matter if it's the top of the line car or not. Most of the time it's not. I like experimenting with SUVs, different size SUVs, different size commuter cars. And it's like having a new car every week. It's like being a baller. A baller with a cap on how much you can spend. So anyway, I had to take the opportunity to drive Yoshi's car because he listed it for sale. And when he got it earlier this year, one of the first things was, hey, can I do a video of your car? And he goes, yes. And I just never got around to it. And man, it was awesome. So I guess you could say I've had a really cool month being around my dream car, the Vector, and not only being around it, but getting a ride in it, and then driving this $250,000 Ferrari. And it was cool. I bet you people were trying to figure out what team I played for. But man, it was a blast. So be watching for that video. Hard Parking Podcast on YouTube. It's literally youtube.com, Hard Parking Podcast. Coming up, Jane D'Amelio. Jane.
Hey.
Thanks for coming on the Hard Parking Podcast. This is brought to you by Cell Shop. Cell Shop, Arizona-based retailer, strives to be your destination of choice for wireless services. Visit them at cellshop.us. So one of my favorite people in the world. So what do we got going on? I mean, it's a big month. I mean, it's been, God, I think it's been 2 years?
No, I think
a year? Was it last year?
It's been over a year. I think it was was it the summer? I think it was last summer. So a year and a half.
Yeah. So it was July 10th of 20 is when the last time you were on the show.
See my memory. I told you.
It's powerful. So what do we have going on? There's like so much has happened, right? And we're supposed to be, and we can hit on all sorts of things because you're kind of an open book on this stuff. But last year at this time, I don't think we thought the world would be where it's at now. I think we thought we would have all moved on. While we're still able to kind of do the things that we got back to doing before with the car shows and the charities and just all sorts of things, I kind of feel like things are kind of going in reverse as well.
Yep. It's pretty crazy times. I feel like the whole world, I would say the country, I don't know about the world, kind of is wide open. But I think there's just pockets that are closing down. And, I think that everybody's just tied to what the news is on a daily or a weekly basis. We're open, we're closed, we can do this, we can't do that. Doing what I do, it gets frustrating. There's a lot of need out there to support, the community, to run our business where we're, safeguarding our employees. So I'm not really doing a lot of the events that we're normally used to doing at the dealerships, and then still trying to be present and raise awareness for our charities and funds and then, new things that come up like wildfires in Tennessee. I know Roe was out there the past 2 weeks. supporting some of our charities that were helping to get refugees out of Afghanistan. There's a great group that has some people that have settled in Orange County that I've been trying to work on helping. And it's been difficult. It's been difficult to rally the troops. The troops are all waiting. And every time we try to, plan something, we get pushback. And now it seems like with the Delta variant, I'm even getting pushback from the boots on the ground, our followers, our supporters, our friends, our family. There's a lot of, I'll let you know, or I don't know. So it's like the Delta variant is like COVID 2.0.
Yeah, and I think from like working with other organizations, I could only assume on this, but it's almost like they don't want to be the one to say okay and then be labeled as the. I don't think we're using super spreader events anymore, but I guess title. But that's kind of what's going on with these. Like these numbers are going up, but we still have to live our lives, right? And I think, like, what do you think we're close to? I know Ducey's fighting Biden and everything, but do you think we're close to them doing a state mandate on wearing masks again?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. I'm not a big mask. Okay. So people think I'm an anti-masker. I'm not an anti-masker, but I definitely wear them with respect. If I'm going into a business that requires me to wear it, I'm going to wear it. If I'm going into a business that has taken safety precautions and I don't have to wear it, then I'm not wearing it.
Right.
I'm one of those people. If I was to have to wear my mask for almost 2 years now, 24/7, I would have probably been hospitalized a couple times. I've horrible asthma, but it's reactive airway disease. So if I wear a dirty mask or a mask that has some type of a bacteria that settles on it, I'm breathing in it all day, I'm more at risk of getting bronchitis or pneumonia.
Sure.
So I've been staying away from people as much as I can, even though I'm always out there. I am out there and I'm around people I trust, but I'm not like really like standing close to strangers I don't know and stuff like that. But I don't know about the mask. I think it's a respect level. I think it should be a personal choice. And the people that I know that don't wear them often, almost all of them are, respectable on it. If you're in the grocery store and everybody has one on, one or to put one on for 5 or 10 minutes. I never not want to have one on when I'm checking out. If the cashier has to wear one, I'm wearing one, So there's a respect thing. But again, with somebody like myself, I can't wear it 24/7. I just cannot do it.
And I haven't quite taken it to that level yet, but I can tell you that it has felt oddly weird to be in the store and look around and 90% of the people are wearing masks in a state where it's not necessarily mandated as much, but I have started seeing those signs on business stores, and of course they can't really, enforce it, but I'm like, shit, I should go back to my car and get my mask because I feel kind of weird right now, and I haven't.
The masks are like, all the signs I see are like, if you are fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. That's what I've been seeing.
I've started seeing the other ones again. I saw when I went to the post office last week, and then when I walked into Fry's the other day, I'm like,
Yeah, but I had read something the other day, and it was September 1st of 2020. Here, let me look at the stats. I can't remember what the stats were. Like a year ago, like this week, there were, this many COVID cases. And then the same time this year, and this is what it says. It's like in September, there were 25,000 new COVID cases to September 7, 2020. September 7, 2021, there's 300,000 new COVID cases, but yet 177 million people are vaccinated. In September of last year, it's 0 vaccinations. So we got vaccinated people, we got continuous mask wearing, but our cases are up 10 times almost, or 8 times.
It's crazy.
The math is just, I'm not a math major, but I'm really confused.
Well, I got to tell you, and I'd said it on a previous episode that, when I had to travel from Monterey back to here, to Michigan, I wore a mask that I got at a car event. Had it been last year, I never would have wore that mask. Last year, I was buying the $15, $20 mask that I did an hour and a half worth of research on the internet before I even pulled the trigger. And this one, I'm like, okay, I'm vaccinated. I'm wearing it to be compliant, and I want to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how many of that is out there as well. Because I don't know, people are kind of fed up with it.
I see people with the dirtiest mask. I would love to figure out, I haven't figured out, maybe you and I can work on doing a little science project where we go buy we have someone wear a mask or donate a few masks of people that have been wearing them excessively. And then maybe we do some swabs and see if we can grow our own cultures and see what kind of bacteria is on those masks, because there has to be. Like, you go to the bathroom, you're wearing your mask, you're washing your hands, you're touching your face, you touch the doorknob, you touch the face, you touch the menu, you touch your face, you touch the condiments, you put the mask back on, you put the mask on the table. Cross-contamination is just, how we're not all getting E. coli right now, I don't know.
Which, by the way, when you were saying that, I was thinking about all the times where I would hand my credit card or money to somebody working the cashier and they have a glove on. All they're doing is taking that and spreading around everyone else but themselves, which I always kind of looked at them like,
Unless they touch their face and then they take their mask off to go to break and pick up that spoon and go to eat their lunch, they contaminated themselves with every person that they touched, because they put that glove on their mask, they did throughout the day, and then they take their glove off, and it's just, I'm a germaphobe. Like, prior to COVID, I hardly ever got sick. I don't get the flu. But I wash my hands all the time. I'll pet a dog, but immediately afterwards I'm washing my hands because I'm allergic to dogs, even though we have 4. I don't touch menus. I don't touch condiments. I'm like, don't touch doorknobs, light switches. Like, this is way before COVID. And now I think I'm more hypersensitive about it. I went out to eat with Joey, and it was a buffet, because they got to serve you over the counter. And the guy touched his mask to talk to the person in front of him, pulled it down, put it back up, went to serve me. And I was like, can you change your gloves? I'm like, you just touched your mask. I'm like, at this point, you might as well just take the gloves and the mask off, because you're less likely to do cross-contamination. And he kind of was like, whatever. And then ironically, we went back to the same place 2 days later, and another guy did it again. And I said the same thing. Can you change your gloves? You just touched your mask. And he went, took his gloves off, washed his hands, refused to come back and service us. He was so mad. So
put off, taken back by it. But I mean, you're right, because there's so many people who would look at that and just kind of like, oh my God, he's just,
I don't know if it would have hit me last year, but with Delta COVID variant this year, I'm hypersensitive about it. And the fact that I have not gotten COVID yet, I'm more concerned now because of the cases are up. It's not if you get it, it's when you get it. And my doctor says I'll be fine. And, I have a breathing machine at home, so I'll be able to treat myself probably better than someone that doesn't have a history of getting viruses that affect me. The viruses that I get are pretty much almost the same as the description of how sick, when you feel sick with COVID, except the body aches.
Right.
I go stay at my sister's house. She's got white labs, and I told her, she gets mad at me. I was like, Paula, I can't stay with you. The dogs make me sick. She's like, you're not allergic to the dogs. Dogs don't make you sick. And so then I stayed with her once and ended up 2 days in, I couldn't talk. And then I was coughing. I came home with bronchitis. It turned into walking pneumonia. I remember, my boss, I was like, I can't breathe. I'm like, I walk from my office to your office and I can't breathe. Something's wrong. And he's like, oh, you're crazy. I go, I'm telling you, sure enough, I went and got a chest x-ray and I had walking pneumonia. And it was only from staying at my sister's house with her white labs. It's something about the oil in their skin. My chihuahuas, we keep them and I don't have an issue with them. The long-haired dogs, especially the labs, I don't know what it is. It's their oil secretions. So, but yeah, so I worry, but I'm prepared. I have a nice little set up at home with a breathing machine and albuterol and all the things that if I was to have to go to an ER, for first signs of COVID, that I could start treating myself a little bit early.
I got to ask you this because you talked about your setup at home. Do you have one of those walking bars that you can hold on to when you're walking? Because I think you had shared a video with me once where you kind of weirdly lost your grip and almost killed yourself. How are you doing on that?
No, I didn't get the walking bar. That fall. I mean, I think that when you post this podcast, you should probably put a link to it because it's pretty funny. My nieces, the security camera caught me doing the fall, and my nieces who are on TikTok, I'm not on TikTok.
Oh no.
They're gracious enough to turn it into a slow-mo, and it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it is the funniest video, but I did get hurt. It's pretty bad. Not going to lie, I was in the hospital the end of last week. I had to go get an MRI on my shoulder. I hurt my collarbone. I just got new floors, and I slipped on them with socks. And the other night, I got to get out of bed, and I slipped again.
So you fell again?
I caught myself, but yes, I did. I fell again, but I was able to catch myself before I really took a big fall. So all I have to do is say, if you're remodeling your home and going from carpet to wood floors, don't wear socks. Yeah, I know. Or if anybody wants to get me anything for Christmas, I can get like those socks you get at the hospital with a no slip on the bottom. Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, they have those, but
I would opt for those over the walking stick right now.
Let's pivot real quick, and because it's September.
Mm-hmm.
And for those in the area, and by the area, we're talking about the Southwest United States, because this affects more than just over here in Phoenix, the Phoenix area. But we have the McKenna-Clare thing going till the end of the month.
Yes. Yeah. All the Wilson Automotive dealerships are participating. This is the second year they're doing it. So with Wilson Automotive, we have locally Right Toyota, Right Honda. We have one dealership in David Wilson Toyota of Las Vegas. And we have 15 dealerships, I believe, in California.
Wow.
Claremont Toyota and HB Toyota. You can go into any one of the David Wilson organization stores. You can purchase a blue butterfly. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. 100% of the blue butterfly sales go to McKenna-Clare Foundation, and they donate the money to fund brain cancer research. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a certain brain cancer that children get, and it's deadly. It
Sure.
really is. As far as I know to date, there's no survivors over the age of maybe 8 or 9, I believe.
Mm.
And by the time they find it, the child's usually around 6 years old, and they start to get wobbly and slurring speech and having a few issues that you just see that, your child's not acting normal. And then that's usually when the diagnosis comes, and they try what they can do to prolong their lives. But then they get to the point where they're like, just take them home and make memories. So I met the family of McKenna-Clare a couple years ago. They're amazing. Little McKenna's brain stem and brain tumor was donated to research. So we raised money to help continue with their research. And prior to COVID, there were some amazing things coming out with stents and some new things that they were doing with the research of all the money they raised and using her tumor. And I believe some other children's, I don't know if it's morbid to say this, but, some other children's tumors and stem were donated to the research. So they were getting really good, closer to what they thought a treatment would be. And then COVID hit. And it was a stent that would go up into the brain, kind of feed the medicine into the tumor. The way that I understand it, when they told me, is like, you can go get, chemotherapy medicines or other things that are going to try to help you to shrink the tumor. But when it's so deep in your brain has kind of like a layer that protects it. And it keeps, not enough medicine makes it to the area of the brain where it needs to, because your body kind of pushes it out and protects the brain. So that's where they were the last time. They're doing amazing things. And I'm helping, maybe 2 to 4 years that they're able to perfect this and save some children's lives.
So how much is a butterfly?
Whatever you want to
Whatever you
donate.
want, right? Okay.
It could be $1. It could be $100. There's no limit, but 100% gets donated. Last year during COVID lockdown, September of last year, kind of lockdown, but open, the Wilson organization raised over $60,000 in that month for McKenna Clare.
That's awesome. This is also, this is a month for several things. I think I don't know if it's Suicide Prevention Month or Mental Health Awareness Month as well. There's so many things going on out there, and I haven't looked at the statistics this year. Hopefully, it's not as bad as it was last year.
No, it's pretty bad. I've looked. I've talked to a few people. I'm going to be honest. Like, people are. I think that a lot of people are in depression right now. A lot of people are just confused with what's going on in the world, and it's making things harder. And I'm talking to people that on the outside are amazing, and on the inside, spoke to a woman earlier with one of our foundations, and she confided in me that that she was very depressed, and it's never been like this. She just does not know how to cope right now. She feels like she's losing control of everything, and I think a lot of people feel like they're losing control. I wouldn't call myself a control freak, but I feel like
Jane,
I'm losing control. No, I feel like I'm losing control when you have these grand plans to do something, and you want to go out, and you want to get out there, and you want to put on your armor, and you want to conquer the world, and then you get outside and you're told to go back inside. Today's not your day. It is happening to me on a daily or weekly basis, and it is almost crushing my soul. Like, I'm trying so hard to keep my head above water, and not let myself sink into a depression. I wouldn't say a deep depression. Right now, I have some sadness around me with not being able to do the things that my job or myself or my community expects of me. Not as so much required of me, or I expect of myself. So, I'm not gonna lie, I get teary-eyed. I'm getting teary-eyed right now. Like, it just, when the rest of the world is hurting because of COVID and we can't do the things that we want to do, we're not physically hurting, but there's people out there, like the children with McKenna Clare, like people with suicide prevention. I know this time last year, we lost a couple guys to suicide that were in the car groups.
Yep.
And it just breaks my heart that, we're all in it together is like the hashtag, but we're really not if we're too afraid for our own things because of COVID, or we're being sent back home because of whatever. We just can't support each other like we used to in the past. I feel like we can, but it almost needs to be a rise up where everybody's like, enough is enough. If I'm going to get COVID, I'm going to battle COVID, because battling COVID to me seems like I'll be okay. But for someone that's battling depression and possible suicide attempts, I need to be there for those people. Those people need our support. They need to have someone to speak to. They need, just something. So it's sad.
I think where a lot of it comes from, which makes it feel worse this year, is I think people are feeling the way they're feeling for similar and sometimes different ways. Because last year, everybody was getting their businesses shut down, and if you're a small business owner, you've just lost everything. And then, for a lot of us, it's like, okay, well, if we can make it through 2020, 2021 is going to be great. It's going to be great. We can get back to living our lives and doing everything. But here we are, the tail end of September 21. And, so I can definitely understand some of that. In regards to you, like, we need you. I need you. We all need people like you out there making a difference, because you lead. You lead from the front, and a lot of people will follow and want to be a part of something, but everybody needs someone to lead, and that's where you are. But yeah, it's heavy. It's hard, and you've been able to, it's as tiny as you are, which is funny, by the way. Like, one of the first things people say is, gosh, she's tiny. It's like, what did you expect? She was like a 50-foot tall woman? But as tiny as you are, like, you shoulder so much responsibility. And so, on behalf of myself, this podcast, and everybody out there who knows you, like, we appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it too. Like, I just, I honestly don't know. Sometimes when I wake up, I don't know where to start and I don't know where to finish. Like, I, especially through COVID, come up with these grand scheme, plans of things to do. And then lately it's a slow start, but it's been big finishes. Like, I woke up this morning and I think I invited you to the Office of the Year luncheon. It's Office of the Year, Firefighter of the Year, Volunteer of the Year that we've been doing for, God, over 15 years. And not a lot of people have signed up to come. Like, our capacity is 100 people. We're at 42 people. I don't know if it's because of COVID, Delta variant, people just, not wanting to come out. But I set a goal this morning, I'm going to raise awareness and share this, event and invite people. And within, I would say, 45 minutes of just blasting it out, I had 20 people RSVP that are coming.
That's perfect. That's awesome.
I'm going to give a plug to Lerner and Rowe because they immediately, within 5 minutes, emailed me back and came in as a sponsor. If they can't attend, they're going to donate a table of 8 to first responders so that they can attend. So it's just like, I woke up, like, what am I going to do today? I have some goals. I've got to do stuff and I've got to raise awareness for McKenna Claire, the butterfly thing, for the Office of the Year luncheon. And then I go ahead and I blast this out, and it's like off the hook. Like, all of a sudden, all these text messages of these people that are coming, we raised a couple grand. I'm like, holy crap. I went from like being sad and, not knowing what I was going to, how I was going to do this, to everybody. You never know who's paying attention to what you're doing. It's just like you said, I'm just one person and, it's a little person, but the footprint or the shadow behind what we're doing is so big that when I do ask for stuff, because it would probably seem like I ask people for things a lot, but
I mean, it's not for you.
No, it's never for me, but I don't ask a lot of people. They just jump in. It's great. It's kind of like the first hot week of the summer and school's out and the pool opens and everybody's like, we're going to the pool, we're jumping in, and it's just like, when I ask, it's like, the pool's open, everybody jump in. And it was so great today. And it just, it helps me stay mentally focused on continuing to do what I do, because I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. A lot of people are like, oh, you have the best job in the world. I'm like, listen, it's hard sometimes to sell your belief systems to other people and to the masses. And I've been very fortunate that people that don't even, reach out to me during the whole year, but I sent them a text message and they emailed me back saying, yes, of course, we'd love to be there. We love everything you're doing. Sorry, I haven't seen you in a while. So they're out of sight, but they're not out of mind, or I'm out of sight and I'm not out of mind. And it was a very great feeling today to see. And I'm so excited about the luncheon now. I have 25 new faces that are coming to an event that was maxing out at 100. We were at 42 this morning. Now we're almost at, over half capacity, and it's all new people, and they're going to learn so much more about this program, what we do it, why we do, and hopefully they will see that if 10% of them say, I want to be a part of it next year, then, I did what I was supposed to do, and that's raise awareness and get people involved in, more community efforts. I won't tell them you didn't come, though.
So I asked this motherfucker Jay to come, and he's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is on Friday. It is during a lunch time, which I think makes it difficult.
It's difficult. I reached out. I think we're going to have some of that. I won't let it, I won't put it out there, but this is my first time I asked one of the car clubs if they would jump in, and I think they're gonna. And I think, how great would it be if we have some screeching cars showing up for our first responders right now?
Hey, by the way, did you grab? I wasn't joking when I asked you to grab me an AZ Leo sticker.
Oh, I should have it. Was it the sticker or the I have the Azuleo sticker. I thought it was the luggage tag. We did luggage tags for the kids this year for their backpacks.
Oh, I remember those. Yeah. No, it was a sticker. It's just thrown on the back of the old Infinity, you know.
Yeah, we won't say Infinity out loud, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The old Daily, we'll put it that way.
Your whoopty.
Actually, it's got some damage on it. I parked too close to a curb. A tall curb in front of Starbucks, and I ripped the bottom half of the thing off.
In the front?
You know the clips? You got caught on the little, the curb, and it just kind of pulled it.
Yeah.
So I got to crawl under there and figure out what clips popped out.
Well, you're inclined. You should be able to fix that. Speaking of cars, because this is the HardParkingPodcast.
The what? What? Hold on. Say that again.
I don't know.
Okay.
I want to talk about cars really quick because this is why people tune in, I think. I've only had 2 sports cars, right? We've never talked about this, have we?
Mm-hmm.
So the first one was a GTR. Did I ever tell you about my GTR experience?
I don't think so.
Oh my God. GTR, beautiful, pearl white, GR, limited, beautiful. And so I bought it with my guy, Stacy, and he loved it. And I think he thought I was never going to be able to drive it. And the first time me taking it out, I curbed the front, just like you're talking about. It had a Claire bra on it. I was so upset. But that car's gone. It survives. So then I get a Beamer Christmas this year. I'm like, I need a runaround car. I don't want to put too many more miles on a 4Runner. It's so expensive right now. So I get a 328i BMW. Love it. Turbo, super cute. First week I'm driving it. Something in the road. It's so low to the ground. It takes the bumper off. Yeah. So
That's hilarious.
I got it back now. And this is why I don't have a sports car. This is why I drive a truck. I don't know how you guys do it.
I mean, to be fair, that's my freaking SUV that I did that too. We have Fuel Fest coming up. Are we still getting involved with that?
Absolutely. Yep. I got to work with them now over the next, maybe I'll have more information next week. Anybody that already bought tickets from the previous canceled events should still, obviously they're going to transfer over. They kept those receipts, or I'm sure they have the registration. But it's going to be awesome. December 4th, I believe, out at Phoenix Raceway. I know they're working on some great things. So I did LA. So I did Fuel Fest LA. It was amazing. It was better than I even thought it would be. The hype, the music, the cars, the vendors. I feel like Arizona is going to be way better. I don't know what the lineup is, but I know that they're bringing some amazing stuff. And it's going to be great weather. It's December 4th. Thank God it's not like an October or, September event. It's going to it's going to sell out. It's going to sell out. It's going to be packed. It's going to be pretty amazing. So hopefully you're out there.
Well, I mean, if you're out there, I'm out there, right?
Yeah, Red Honda is a major sponsor. We're working now to see if we can get the winner of the Barrett Jackson car to bring the car out for the Honda Type R. Number 151 was the car. Oh my God, 51. I don't
51.
Remember.
Yeah, I don't remember, but doesn't that guy lives in a neighboring state?
Yeah, he's not here. They asked me to reach out with him to see if he would come. But the great thing about it is he will probably come. He came to Fuel Fest LA, him and his son. They're amazing. They came to Fuel Fest LA. They've been to Arizona one other time. I saw him. He is an amazing, hardworking businessman. His story is incredible. He, went from having nothing to building a great business all around the car business, rims and tires and aftermarket stuff. His son Wes is awesome. This was his first car, so they will probably be there. I can't expect them to transport the car out here, but if they can't get the car out here, Honda
figure it out.
Honda's lending us one. They're giving. We did such a great job at the auction, and I don't think they expected us to raise so much money for charity. So they actually allocated us another Phoenix Yellow Type R. So we will have one on display. So we have one for sale right now, and we have another one that they're supposed to send us out for just display promo purposes. And I think they said make sure Jay doesn't drive this car.
I don't think they said that. They probably said make sure that Jay, that Honda, what was I, a Honda product specialist? Is that what they labeled me on that video?
My Honda J, yes. My Honda Pro.
Yeah, Honda Pro J.
Yes.
Instead of Honda Pro Jason.
I love.
What if he's coming out?
I invite him all the time. I love, he's just such a great guy. I feel like he would fit in great with all of us. I'm going to reach out to him. Well, come here. Has he not been on your podcast?
No, he has not been on the podcast. I have another mutual friend that's pretty good friends with him as well. So we need to make that happen.
I'll text him. He's a great guy. I want to get him out here. I know that Noel's going to be here. Hector from Fast and the Furious. He'll be out here for Fuel Fest. He's going to co-host my tent. You may want to do a follow-up with him. It'll be a year since you had him on the podcast. It was last December, I believe, too.
Yeah. Yeah, so it has been a year. Yep. Do more details on that. Man, it would be nice to get some more of the Fast and Furious alum on here.
Yeah, they came. Tyrese was at Tyrese came to Fuel Fest LA. He plays a huge part in supporting ROW, which is Reach Out Worldwide, Paul Walker's. And he's great friends with Cody. So he may be here. I don't know like I said, I don't know what the announcement or the lineup is going to be. And then
Sung Kang.
Yes, he's so sweet. Oh my God. Yeah. People went crazy over him. He was in LA at the LA one. He's so chill, but he's just he was so busy. I really didn't get a chance to talk to him or anything like that. But he radiates even he just smiles. He's so kind and he's so sweet. He's kind of I don't know how to say it. He just radiates peace. Does that make any sense?
Yep. He's very calm. He has a very calming. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are all the things we have going on. There's more going on. I'm trying to plan I'm going to do a Saturday night meetup at probably Right Toyota because we don't have a lot of inventory right now. Inventory is low, so I have a lot of space. So I'm just going to announce it now. I don't know if this will come out before then. I'm going to do a dine-in movie instead of a drive-in movie, a dine-in where we get food trucks. It's open to everybody, all the car groups, not one specific. And it's just going to be a night one. Shooting for the first week in October. We've got the movie screen and we're gonna sling Fast 9 and I was hoping COVID and Delta wouldn't crush anything we're doing when I was planning this. So hopefully it doesn't. And, just a family night out, bring the kids, super low key chill, no mission behind it, no charity, just supporting the people that support us and giving everybody a safe atmosphere to get together on a Saturday night, at night because it's hot out. We will have a raffle there that will have a fundraiser tied to it, or just we're going to sell raffle tickets to support one of the group members of one of the car clubs who his fiance was in a horrible car accident. So I love the car community. We support so many things. We support McLennan Claire. We support Arizona Leos. We do all these things. But when it comes around to family, if something happens, we have to take care of our family. And that's the guys that are in these car clubs that show up for the toy drives, for the food drives. They show up for you for, when you go to the food pantry and you make the bags. So it doesn't happen often. They didn't even ask for help. But we're, like I said, it's just a meetup, and a fun time, but we are going to have a raffle. If you want to, purchase the raffle ticket to win something and support, someone in our family, then that's great. If not, we still want you to come. It's, it's free to everybody, but it is going to have a supported little twist because she was just in an accident about 2 weeks ago. And it's actually one of the employees that work at Red Honda. Too. So we've got to take care of our people just like we take care of the community.
Well, I'll be there. We'll get you out of here on this. We're planning on doing one less also in December, which is the United Food Bank thing. So I'll be reaching out to you guys, see if you guys want to be involved in that as well.
Yeah, we'll probably have to do masks again this year.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, goodness. I'm going to have to try to find those again.
Thanks, Jane, for joining the episode.
Thank you.
I want to thank Jane, as always, for being part of the show and for always being such a good person and a sponsor of this podcast, as well as wanting to do stuff with our One Auto movement. I really want to take the One Auto movement and turn it into a nonprofit, because I think some people think it's my company, but it's not. I don't really make any money off of it, and I'm not really trying to. In fact, every time we sold shirts, and I say we because I have a committee, every time we sold shirts, every time we sold decals, we take that money and it goes toward the website, the monthly fee that it costs to run the website. But then I use it to reinvest in One Auto, whether it's buying new merchandise to then turn around and sell again, because I don't like usually I like to order stuff as people order it from me, so I don't have to hold inventory. Or when we do charity events, maybe we have like $300 in the treasury, so we'll donate $200 to the event, like United Food Bank or something. Or if we go on a cruise, buy waters for everybody, or take that money and buy a bunch of decals from my decal supplier and give it away to the people instead of sell it to the people. Now, that probably sounds like a dumb idea, but again, it's not something the One Auto movement is not something that was built necessarily to make money. It's to spread love. It's to spread the thought, the idea that we're all driven by our passions and we're all fueled by the culture. And we're all part of one big automotive community. It doesn't matter what you're into. And so when people like Jane see that and want to work with One Auto, it's a proud moment, because it's very frustrating trying to run something like that. Even with help, it's just very frustrating because you can't pay the people. I don't make money with it, so I can't afford to pay people to help me grow it. They have to understand the vision. They have to understand what it is that we're doing with One Auto. And the car community itself is just so tough. We've had Charles from Monoculture on before, and it'd be nice to get Charles and Chris on at some point, possibly even here in studio. And I went to one of their events this last weekend over on the west side of Phoenix in Avondale. And man, there had to have been 1,000 cars out there. And that's what all this was about. And I think people are just begging to get out there and do events and do things. But you got to be careful. Like, that was a good event, but all it takes is one or two assholes to screw it up. And then it's gone. And then so begins a search to do another event to where everybody can just hang out. And there's food trucks, there's vendors out there. It's legit. There's no Q&A segment this week. So on the next longer show, we'll bring the Q&A section back. Remember, drop your questions. I can't answer questions that people don't ask. And that's become kind of the struggle. Part of me wants to just get rid of that segment. And maybe in 2022, there will be no more Q&A segment. But I do that for you. It's not that I don't have any content. I do. I have plenty of stuff I could talk about. But that's my way of trying to give back and give shine to the listeners out there. Saying your name, crumbling up a piece of paper if you ask a stupid ass question. Some people want to be crumpled up. Some people are afraid to submit questions because they don't want to be crumpled up. So kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about we are our own worst critics. A lot of the listeners of this podcast, some of the listeners of this podcast I know personally. And I was listening to an older episode of the Adam Carolla Classics or whatever a few weeks ago, and one of the comedian guests he had on it had mentioned that there's a psychology study where people actually perform less when someone they know is watching, so like up on stage. And I thought about that, and I was like, you know what? He's right. I think back to when I was first out of high school, when I was in the NFL had a flag football tournament called Air It Out. So it's officially sponsored by the NFL. And every time my father would come to watch me play, I would drop balls. I hardly dropped that many balls playing football, but when he would watch, I would always drop balls or I would get beat as a defensive back, and I had a lot of pride in I wouldn't say I had a lot of pride, but I had a high opinion of my recreational football cover skills as a defensive back. But when my father would come, I was just garbage. And I would never forget that. How is that relevant to this podcast? Well, let me tell you how it's relevant. Because Corolla also said on that classic, he had said something about a famous entertainer that was his opinion, but it wasn't necessarily the highest opinion of that person. But if he had that person in studio, he wouldn't have said what he said the same way he said it. He probably would have found another way to say it. But if you're always worried about the people and the things you say getting back to you, then you would be a wreck. You'll never get anything done. And I think, there's a lot of truth to that, because one of the things I always say with this podcast is I try to keep it PC. And that's just kind of who I am. I always try to find more creative ways to get my point across without pointing the finger at someone, alienating people, making people feel bad about themselves. And the fact that, there's things I could talk about with my marriage. There's things I could talk about with raising the kids, which if you listen to the Father's Day episodes, you'll hear some of that stuff. And there's stories I would love to tell on here of growing up, being the single guy, going out doing crazy shit, bar stories, hangout stories. And I don't talk about any of that stuff on here because I feel like I can't. I feel like I shouldn't, maybe out of the respect of my current situation. But it's always something I sit back and I'm like, man, the shit that I would say, number one, if I knew it wouldn't get back to people. And number two, if I knew certain people weren't listening. I think we all kind of do that. And I know I had an episode a long time ago. It's like, well, do you care what people think? And it's easy for people to say, no, I don't care what anybody says about me. I don't care what anybody thinks. Here we are toward the end of 2021. I'm going to raise the bullshit flag on that because we all care a little bit. We care enough. Now, do I necessarily cater everything that I say to not hurt people's feelings? I do not. But do I care what my wife thinks about me? Absolutely. And you can say, well, yeah, you should. It's your wife. Yeah, but you can't say in absolute you don't care what people say or think about you when there are absolutely people that are exceptions to that. You don't care what a stranger thinks about you. But that kind of goes back to this podcast, because this podcast at times can be all over the place. But for the people that I'm talking to, people like you who are listening, it does matter. And this is the Jay. This is the Jay that you guys know. If you know me personally, this is the Jay you know on a personal level. And if you don't know who I am, this is just who I am when I'm out and about. This is my personality come through this podcast. So I appreciate everybody for checking in on that. And yeah, with the new sound that I'm experimenting with, I think I'm good with it. But let me know what you think. Seriously, let me know what you think. HardParkingPodcast@gmail.com. I know I'm going to have at least 2 episodes recording like this, but maybe I go back to the super deep bassy J that so many people seem to like so much. Real quick, before we get out of here, I'm going to hit you guys up with a Builder's Corner segment brought to you by 4Wheel Online. You heard their advertising at the very beginning. Anyway, visit them online at 4Wheel Online or call them at 813-769-2451. That's 4Wheel Online, the number 4. So the Builder's Corner is this, and I reached out to a company and they didn't respond, but I was watching a video on the latest lighting products for your vehicle. And a lot of vehicles, new vehicles, come with excellent lighting, but people still want to modify them. But if you're driving an older vehicle, and when I say older, we'll say 10 years, right? 5 to 10 years, 15 years, 20 years old, and you want to upgrade the look of your vehicle without spending a lot of money, and you want to upgrade the quality, you can change out your headlights. Some of the bulbs are super simple. So what you do is you go online to a few websites and just say custom bulbs or LEDs, interior LEDs, vehicle LEDs, and you put in your car, obviously, your year, make, model, and you hit search. And what happens is, like most of the vehicles, they come with what's called incandescent bulbs. Those are those kind of fainty yellow bulbs. Even your local AutoZone, by the way. But you go online, you put in your vehicle, and you just buy a pack of these little bulbs. And then when they arrive, there might be a special bulb for your door light on the door, or the little map light that some of us forget to turn off. Back in the day, if you forget to turn that shit off, that'll drain your battery and your car will be dead. The courtesy lights, I think that's what the first thing is. Even your headlights and your taillights. And it's pretty simple to do. If you don't want to do it yourself, there's always somebody out there willing to do it for most vehicles. Like sometimes you have to take off the whole front bumper. And if that's the case, screw that. But for other cars, it's just as easy as popping the hood, reaching down there, turning the socket of the bulb a quarter turn one way or the other, and the thing comes right out. If it's a high intensity discharge bulb, don't touch the bulb. Wear gloves, or just be careful doing what you're doing. But changing out your bulbs yourself saves you time, saves you money, the vehicle looks better, and it's actually safer in most cases. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll help you. HardParkingPodcast@gmail.com. And that is the Builder's Corner segment. Want to thank Right Honda out of Scottsdale, Arizona, higher quality detail at Tempe, Arizona, BoosterBrath.com, FullOnline.com, TongueTreats.com, and Cell Shop Wireless Services. Can't forget the credit mix. Hopefully you guys are taking advantage of the offer, the credit mix that plays at the very end of the podcast. Wonderful people behind the credit mix, wonderful service. They really do put you in connection with people that can help you fix your credit, help you raise your credit score, because in today's climate, with how hot the cars are, how hot the housing is, you're going to need tip-top credit because they can afford to make you have good credit. Don't throw the opportunity away. Hit them up just on an inquiry. Can't forget Patreon business supporter Kuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida. If you have any interest in joining the Patreon, you can for as low as $3 a month. Hard Parking Podcast. Patreon.com, Hard Parking Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at JFinning, that's JHAEPFENNING, or JTravels, JHAE_travels. Join us on the Hard Parking Violations Facebook page and check out the YouTube Hard Parking Podcast, youtube.com, Hard Parking Podcast. Or if you type in Hard Parking Media, you will also find me. Don't forget to check out Right Honda and Jane D'Amelio. Her contact information will be in the show description. I can't grow without you telling the world how great the show is. Let's do this. Let's grow this thing together, and I'll talk to you all next week.
Shut up!
Hey, this is Levi Epps, hashtag Mr. Financial Freedom of the Credit Mix, here with a special offer for Hard Parking Podcast fans. If you've been living with less than perfect credit for having evictions, late payments, bankruptcies, doesn't matter what it is. If it's something that negatively impacts your credit score and you're not able to get approvals for certain things, or maybe you got to pay large deposits and high interest rates, we don't want that to be you anymore. We have a program that will legally get negative items off of your credit report and keep them off. And we have a special code for a free consultation to see if we can help you. Text HP Credit to 737-4CREDIT. That's HP Credit to 737-427-3348. Let's get you back on the road to financial freedom.
Are you tired of your dog losing its cool in a thunderstorm or fireworks? You might want to look at Tongue Treats. TongueTreats.com. High anxiety relief, pain relief, inflammation relief. It's a direct connection between the tongue and the brain. Doesn't waste time going down to the stomach, where it gets broken down, enters the bloodstream, then to the brain eventually. By then, little Izzy, my dog, has been hiding under the house for like 20 minutes. The Tongue Treat CBD strips provide rapid results for your pet with the right amount of CBD, which is not psychoactive. It's important to test and verify your pet is getting the proper dosage. A single strip should be enough. Have doubts? There's certified analysis from a lab available on the website. Think about it. Efficacy and economy. Tongue Treats.